The Voice Before the Void.net. The Gods of Pegana by Lord Dunsany. Part 6. Read by The Voice Before the Void. The Sayings of Ibon. The prophet of the gods said, Yonder beside the road there sitteth a false prophet, and to all who seek to know the hidden days he saith, Upon the morrow the king shall speak to thee as his chariot goeth by. Moreover, all the people bring him gifts, and the false prophet hath more to listen to his words than hath the prophet of the gods. Then said Ibon, What knoweth the prophet of the gods? I know only that I and men know naught concerning the gods, or aught concerning men. Shall I, who am their prophet, tell the people this? For wherefore have the people chosen prophets, but that they should speak the hopes of the people, and tell the people that their hopes be true? The false prophet saith, Upon the morrow the king shall speak to thee. Shall not I say, Upon the morrow the gods shall speak with thee as thou restest upon Pegana? So shall the people be happy, and know that their hopes be true, who have believed the words that they have chosen a prophet to say. But what shall know the prophet of the gods, to whom none may come to say, Thy hopes are true, for whom none may make strange signs before his eyes to quench his fear of death, for whom alone the chaunt of his priests availeth naught? The prophet of the gods hath sold his happiness for wisdom, and hath given his hopes for the people. Said also Ibon, When thou art angry at night, observe how calm be the stars. And shall small ones rail when there is such a calm among the great ones? Or when thou art angry by day, regard the distant hills, and see the calm that doth adorn their faces. Shalt thou be angry while they stand so serene? Be not angry with men, for they are driven as thou art by Dorajond. Do bullocks goad one another on whom the same yoke rests? And be not angry with Dorajond, for then thou beatest thy bare fingers against iron cliffs. All that is so because it was to be. Rail not, therefore, against what is, for it was all to be. And Ibon said, The sun ariseth, and maketh a glory about all the things that he seeth, and drop by drop he turneth the common dew to every kind of gem, and he maketh a splendor in the hills. And also man is born, and there rests a glory about the gardens of his youth. Both travel afar to do what Dorajond would have them do. Soon now the sun will set, and very softly come twinkling in the stillness all the stars. Also man dieth, and quietly about his grave will all the mourners weep. Will not his life arise again somewhere in all the worlds? Shall he not again behold the gardens of his youth? Or does he set to end? Of how Ibon spake of death to the king. There trod such pestilence in Aradec that the king, as he looked abroad out of his palace, saw men die. And when the king saw death, he feared that one day even the king should die. Therefore he commanded guards to bring before him the wisest prophet that should be found in Aradec. Then heralds came to the temple of all the gods save one, and cried aloud, having first commanded silence, crying, Razahan, king over Aradec, prince by right of Ildun and Ildon, and prince by conquest of Pathia, Ezek, and Ajan, lord of the hills, to the high prophet of all the gods save one, sends salutations. Then they bore him before the king. The king said unto the prophet, O prophet of all the gods save one, shall I indeed die? And the prophet answered, O king, thy people may not rejoice forever, and some day the king will die." And the king answered, "This may be so, but certainly thou shalt die. It may be that one day I shall die, but till then the lives of the people are in my hands." Then the guards led the prophet away. And there arose prophets in Eredek, who spake not of death to kings. Of Ood. Men say that if thou comest to Sundari, beyond all the plains, and shalt climb to his summit before thou art seized by the avalanche which sitteth always on his slopes, that then there lie before thee many peaks. And if thou shalt climb these, and cross their valleys, of which there be 7, and also 7 peaks, thou shalt come at last to the land of forgotten hills, where amid many valleys and white snow there standeth the great temple of one God only. Therein is a dreaming prophet who doeth naught, and a drowsy priesthood about him. These be the priests of Mana Yud Sushai. Within the temple it is forbidden to work. Also it is forbidden to pray. Night differeth not from day within its doors. They rest as Mana rests, and the name of their prophet is Ood. Ood is a greater prophet than any of all the prophets of earth, and it hath been said by some that were Ood and his priest to pray chaunting all together and calling upon Mana Yud Sushai, that Mana Yud Sushai would then awake, for surely he would hear the prayers of his own prophet. Then there would be worlds no more. There is also another way to the land of forgotten hills, which is a smooth road and straight, that lies through the heart of the mountains. But for certain hidden reasons it were better for thee to go by the peaks and snow, even though thou shouldst perish by the way. Then thou shouldst seek to come to the house of Ood by the smooth, straight road. The river. There arises a river in Pegana that is neither a river of water, nor yet a river of fire, and it flows through the skies and the worlds to the rim of the worlds, a river of silence. Through all the worlds are sounds, the noises of moving, and the echoes of voices and song. But upon the river is no sound ever heard, for there all echoes die. The river arises out of the drumming of Skarl, and flows forever between banks of thunder, until it comes to the waste beyond the worlds, behind the farthest star, down to the sea of silence. I lay in the desert beyond all cities and sounds, and above me flowed the river of silence through the sky, and on the desert's edge night fought against the sun, and suddenly conquered. Then on the river I saw the dream-built ship of the god Yoharneth Lahai, whose great prow lifted gray into the air above the river of silence. Her timbers were olden dreams dreamed long ago, and poets' fancies made her tall, straight masts, and her rigging was wrought out of the people's hopes. Upon her deck were rowers with dream-made oars, and the rowers were the people of men's fancies, and princes of old story, and people who had died, and people who had never been. These swung forward and swung back to row Yoharneth Lahai through the worlds with never a sound of rowing. For ever on every wind float up to Pegana the hopes and the fancies of the people which have no home in the worlds, and there Yoharneth Lahai weaves them into dreams, to take them to the people again. And every night in his dream-built ship Yoharneth Lahai setteth forth, with all his dreams on board, to take again their old hopes back to the people and all forgotten fancies. But ere the day comes back to her own again, and all the conquering armies of the dawn hurl their red lances in the face of the night, Yoharneth Lahai leaves the sleeping worlds, and rose back up the river of silence that flows from Pegana into the sea of silence that lies beyond the worlds. And the name of the river is Imrana, the river of silence. And they that be weary of the sound of cities, and very tired of clamor, creep down in the night time to Yoharneth Lahai's ship, and going aboard it, among the dreams and the fancies of old times, lie down upon the deck, and pass from sleeping to the river, while Mung, behind them, makes the sign of Mung, because they would have it so. And, lying there upon the deck among their own remembered fancies, and songs that were never sung, and they drift up Imrana ere the dawn, where the sound of the cities comes not, nor the voice of the thunder is heard, nor the midnight howl of pain as he gnaws at the bodies of men, and far away and forgotten bleat the small sorrows that trouble all the worlds. But where the river flows through Pegana's gates, between the great twin constellations, Yum and Gotham, where Yum stands sentinel upon the left and Gotham upon the right, there sits Surami, the lord of all forgetting. And, when the ship draws near, Surami looketh with his sapphire eyes into the faces and beyond them of those that were weary of cities. And as he gazes, as one that looketh before him remembering naught, he gently waves his hands. And amid the waving of Surami's hands there fall from all that behold him all their memories, save certain things that may not be forgotten, even beyond the worlds. It hath been said that when Skarl ceases to drum, and Mana Yud Sushai awakes, and the gods of Pegana know that it is the end, that then the gods will enter galleons of gold, and with dream-born rowers glide down Imrana, who knows whither or why, till they come where the river enters the silent sea, and shall there be gods of nothing, where nothing is, and never a sound shall come. And far away upon the river's banks shall bay their old hound Time, that shall seek to rend his masters, while Mana Yud Sushai shall think some other plan concerning gods and worlds. The Bird of Doom and the End. For at the last shall the thunder, fleeing to escape from the doom of the gods, roar horribly among the worlds. And Time, the hound of the gods, shall bay hungrily at his masters because he is lean with age. And from the innermost of Pegana's vales shall the Bird of Doom, Mosan, whose voice is like the trumpet, soar upward with boisterous beatings of his wings above Pegana's mountains and the gods, and there with his trumpet voice acclaim the end. Then in the tumult and amid the fury of their hound, the gods shall make for the last time in Pegana the sign of all the gods, and go with dignity and quiet down to their galleons of gold, and sail away down the river of silence, not ever to return. Then shall the river overflow its banks, and a tide come setting in from the silent sea, till all the worlds and the skies are drowned in silence, while Mana Yud Sushai in the middle of all sits deep in thought. And the hound Time, when all the worlds and cities are swept away whereon he used to raven, having no more to devour, shall suddenly die. But there are some that hold, and this is the heresy of the Cygoths, that when the gods go down at the last into their galleons of gold, Mung shall turn alone, and, setting his back against Trehagabol, and wielding the sword of severing which is called Death, shall fight out his last fight with the hound Time, his empty scabbard Sleep clattering loose beside him. There under Trehagabol they shall fight alone when all the gods are gone. And the Sagoths say that for 2 days and nights the hound shall leer and snarl before the face of Mung, days and nights that shall be lit by neither sun nor moons, for these shall go dipping down the sky with all the worlds as the galleons glide away, because the gods that made them are gods no more. And then shall the hound, springing, tear out the throat of Mung, who, making for the last time the sign of Mung, shall bring down death crashing through the shoulders of the hound, and in the blood of time that sword shall rust away. Then shall Mana Yud Sushai be all alone, with neither death nor time, and never the hours singing in his ears, nor the swish of the passing lives. But far away from Pegana shall go the galleons of gold that bear the gods away, upon whose faces shall be utter calm, because they are the gods, knowing that it is the end.